Hello guys and welcome back to Haymanager with me Alex, and today we've got the return of a very popular series we used to do back in the day, which is tactical transfers. And today I've decided to focus on Tottenham's new replacement for the 90 million asset that was Harry Kane, who has left to Bayern Munich. So just a quick little introduction to see what I've got going on in my arrangement now, in my space, in my graphics. So you can see in the top right here we've got actually the three different, down at the bottom there as well, if you point there, down at the bottom. We've got the three different latest videos that I'll try and put as updated as I can. Below me here we have just a bit of news, like you can see Liverpool with Caicedo, Tyrone Mings out with an injury. I'll update that just as news as I know and understand it, or my own little opinions as to what I think is going to be coming up next. We go onto this screen. This is obviously how I'll just be in the bottom right hand corner with a few thumbnails above me, with actually above up here we'll have what's on my screen. That's the outro, that's the wrong one. Above me here, so this is the key one for this video, where you can see actually the new candidates that I've got for Harry Kane's replacements, and this is the screen that I'll be based on, and then obviously next up we have the outro. So overall, let's get into what I'll be talking about. So hopefully you can see my screen. I'll put it in full screen so you can see it completely here. I am on FBref. So FBref is a very interesting website that uses Optadata to actually produce like these tabulated results, information sort of data hub for all of the top leagues in Europe. So you can also include in that the Eredivisie, probably a few of the major leagues in there, as well as the competitions. So you got Champions League, World Cup, etc., etc. You got the top data here all together. So I'll just take you through quickly. You'll see above me the rotation of the stats above me. So do bear in mind Osman's is incorrect on the matches played. His matches, what I've called it, just to squeeze it in there. So he's only played 32 rather than the 38. But we'll go through the 5 candidates. So the 5 candidates we've got here of Osimhen, Jonathan David, Ivan Toney, Brian Brobby, and also Evan Ferguson. So the 5 there I'm going to be comparing against Harry Kane, as you can see here. So I've set out a few things that I think Harry Kane is actually going to be compared to, and probably best represent his style of play and how important he was for Tottenham. We'll just start off with standard stats. Go through, you can see here, you can just see basically at the very top here, performance, expected progression, and per 90. So it's placing it down quite nicely. You've got Harry Kane in here with 33 goals and assists, as you can see here, G&A. So you can see Harry Kane here, 30 goals, Osimhen 26, Jonathan David 24, Ivan Toney 20, Brobby 13, and Evan Ferguson 6. But you've got to take into consideration the amount of minutes each have played. So for Osimhen, 2,500 minutes, 26 goals, only 30 starts, 32 matches played. I think that's a pretty good return, 26 goals. Expected goals, as you can see there, 21.3. He's massively exceeded that, but I think he's massively exceeded that if you ask me. Jonathan David looks pretty solid, 32,000 minutes, 3,200 or 3,200 minutes, 37 starts, matches played, 36 starts. And then we've got Ivan Toney in there, only 33 matches played, 33 starts, 20 goals though, 24 contributions altogether. Brian Brobby, only 18 starts, but comes off the bench a lot, it looks like there. 15 off the bench, but only 1,700 minutes. And we obviously have the man himself, Evan Ferguson, the youngster, who's on 10 starts, 19 matches played. So you can see there he's got 6 goals, 2 assists, 8 altogether, massively outdoing expectations. I think altogether you can say he's a pretty good asset. So I'll go through them one by one. So we'll do Osimhen first. So Osimhen, let's have a look at his expected goals. So you can see here 26 goals, 21.3. His goals to minus expected goals ratio. So you can see he's massively outdone that by 4.7. Not as much as Harry Kane on 8.5. But you can see he's doing very well there to actually go beyond what he's expected to do. So you can see his output is highly outweighs what is expected of him. Passing wise, Osimhen, 34 key passes, so maybe not too technical on the passing side. You can see here, down here as well, the shot creating actions only 80 throughout. In shot creating actions per 90, you can see it's 2.8, which is not too high if you ask me. Offensively, Jonathan David and Ivan Toney and Harry Kane up there. Osimhen not too high, probably, especially in the pressing game at the moment, you want to see people pressing and getting the tackles in. He's not much of a pressing forward. To me, this screams, especially with the fact that his touches is so low at 780, it screams to me that he is very much a poacher. But the highest point here is that he's actually got a plus 50%. He's a 50+% header, aerial duelist winner. So you can see there, out of all the other players, he's actually the only one that's positive in that regard. So 54% of the air, he's He's your out-and-out poacher. He's going to be the guy that comes in, replaces the goals asset, or facet, should I say, of Harry Kane's game. He's going to come in, get you 26 goals a season, and be that guy. But is that what Spurs are after? Do they want someone who drops a bit deeper, or are they after a bit more of a creative player? That's what we're going to explore today. Moving on to Jonathan David, Osimhen as well. Just better actually put this into context. Osimhen's 120 million. If you wanted to buy him from Napoli this year, he's looking to extend his deal. Don't know if he has yet. But Jonathan David, as the next player, a player where I think actually he might be a better asset to try and buy. Last year, 36 starts, 24 goals, 4 assists, 28 altogether, only 2 shy of Osimhen. You can see here Jonathan David actually performed as well as his XG basically says. So 0.4, so only 0.4 shy of actually, not shy, but exceeding it by only 0.4. It basically shows that he is very, very efficient. When you expect Jonathan David to score, he scores. That's all it says. Kane in there with plus 8.5, it just shows Kane is a bit extraordinary, is what it's basically saying there. Going down to here, Jonathan David, 53 key passes. He basically rivals Harry Kane for this. As you can see here, he only underperforms expected assists by 2.1. So as much as he's creative, as much as you can say Harry Kane's a creative player, which he is, he drops back, his assists, his passing, his brilliant range of passing, you can say Jonathan David pretty much replicates that facet of his game, which is reflected also in the shot creating actions stat and attribute, where you can see he's 116, 3.3 per 90. For Harry Kane, 3.46, only shy by 0.16 per 9 of assists per 90. So for me, Jonathan David, I think he's going to be basically your perfect type of player to replace Kane. You can see here touches, he's confident with the amount of touches he's going to get on the ball, confident on the ball. Tackles, you can see he's going to be a bit more pressing, he's got that energy, he's a bit more energetic going forward, 37% tackle percentage as well. The only thing about Jonathan David is he's shocking in the air. He's only won 16 aerial duels last year, losing 64, which puts him on a flat 20% win percentage. So 1 in 5 headers you can expect him not to win. 4 in 5 headers you can expect him not to win, which is not perfect for someone of Harry Kane's stature. I know he probably wasn't the best in the air, but he did score a lot with his head. 20% aerial duel wins are not good enough to replace Harry Kane in that Tottenham side, I think. But everything else about Kane's game is replicated in Jonathan David's game, and I think that interchange between Richarlison, David, Son in there, Kulusevski, I think it's a nice front four for Tottenham to really play with, and obviously have 2 probably holding midfielders in there with Bentancur, Højbjerg, the likes of a Skip, for example. So that's that. Next one, we've got Ivan Toney. Jonathan David, I keep forgetting this. Jonathan David, 60 million euros, I believe he is. £60 million he'd probably be asking for from Lille, which is quite cheap. For the output, you're looking at probably 2 less goal contributions than Osimhen. Not as lethal, obviously, but someone who's going to be a bit better defensively. Not as good in the air, but can play that number 10 role that Kane used to play very, very well. For 60 million, which is half as much as what they want for Osimhen, I think that's a steal if you ask me. Next up, Ivan Toney. So Ivan Toney's obviously been banned until Christmas time, which is perfect for Tottenham because they can bring him in that January transfer window. He's actually sitting currently at around about, I think it's around about 30 million. I think that's what you're looking at for him as well. Brentford obviously would want to hang around, try and keep him on, but the 27-year-old last year got 20 goals in 33 starts, 33 appearances, 4 assists, 24 goal contributions. We look at his expected goals, only 18. He's surpassed that by 1.3, so not as high as Osimhen or Kane, who you're like your traditional number 9s, basically your poachers. Kane's more or less complete forward, but he's a poacher type player. Toney, not so much a poacher. Toney gets a bit more involved. Passing wise, Toney only 27 key passes in there. Shot creating actions as well, only 66, so you can see he's depreciated by 1.45 per 90, so you're not going to get that shot creating output from Ivan Toney. But the only thing about Ivan Toney is his defensive stats are through the roof. You can see here 23 tackles, which you wouldn't expect from a traditional number 9 or what type of player he is. He tackles very well. He gets a lot of blocks off. You can see here his Clearances, 36, so he's very good in the clearing department. He's very good in his own team's box, so for the corners you can see him getting clearances. Interceptions, very high, so he sees very high IQ, you can tell there. Tackles and interceptions, you can see 37 there, which is only matched by Jonathan David, and even then the clearances are by far way clear of anyone else. So I think for me, you can see Ivan Toney contributes at both ends of the pitch. He's very much your like pressing forward, your I wouldn't say pressing forward. I say a deep lying forward who likes to defend a bit more, so maybe a defensive forward, as you would probably call it nowadays. Possession wise, he likes to receive the ball quite a lot as well, so that's perfect for them. And in the air, you can see here, he's the closest one to Victor Osimhen. He's not quite past that 50% that you probably want in that positive area, but as you can see, in the air, he's more than happy to get involved with. Well, the second best is Harry Kane, who attempted 81 headers. He actually attempted 117, Ivan Toney. It makes it even more impressive. 109 he won, 117 he lost. And you can see recovery here. What's this? Recovery, ball recoveries, so number of loose ball recovered, 103. You can tell he's a workhorse. He works hard, does Ivan Toney, and that's probably the English game summed up. So Ivan Toney, another viable option, only there for 30 million. I think he's another good one. Brian Brobby, he's now, these two options here now are for the future. So young strikers coming in to really try and replace Kane, going 3-4 years into the future when Son retires or moves on, inevitably in his career, 3 years to 4 years time. Brian Brobby or Evan Ferguson are going to be your two men. So last year, Brian Brobby had 18 starts, Evan Ferguson 10, 33 actually matches played for Brobby though, coming off the bench. He managed to get 13 goals, 3 assists, which is 18 goal contributions altogether. Evan Ferguson, 19 Premier League matches, but only starting 10. 6 goals, 2 assists, 8 goal contributions altogether. So shooting wise, you're looking at Brian Brobby and Evan Ferguson having an expected goals of 14.4 and 5.3. Brian Brobby, as you can see here, is the only person that underperformed. He reminds me very much of a young Lukaku, the West Brom or the Everton Lukaku, who took things on the turn, very quick. As you saw that video with Carragher, brings the ball in. It's just the structure, basically his structure, how he's built. He looks very top heavy, if you know what I mean. Like Lukaku back in the day at Everton looked very top heavy. Like he very good on the ball, can swivel the man, get his shot off. That's very much what Brian Brobby does. He's very good in the box, really good player, I think, but just shy of his expected goals. You can see, and he's the only player to be like that. Evan Ferguson, on the other hand, exceeded his expected goals by a 0.7. So even though he only played so few minutes, 0.7 exceeding that was pretty good. Creatively, Brian Brobby, 23 key passes in probably half the amount of playing time as Harry Kane. So not too bad in that department. Evan Ferguson, you can see there, probably a quarter of the time of Harry Kane, 11 key passes. That's another key facet of Evan Ferguson's game. Going into shot creating actions, Brian Brobby exceeds it massively by Evan Ferguson, but per 90 you can see that Evan Ferguson is actually on par with Ivan Toney. Brian Brobby actually chasing up with Victor Osimhen with the shot creating actions per 90, so again pretty good. Brian Brobby not as good defensively. Evan Ferguson getting 6 tackles in there, showing that he's going to be probably quite key in the defensive area as well, which shows how he's pushing himself into that Harry Kane role. He's very good like defensive areas as well as other key areas of his game. We've also got possession wise here, see Brobby getting the ball much deeper than Evan Ferguson, also having much more touches in that attacking third. And the only thing that's just to highlight at the bottom here is Brobby is actually winning 45% of his headers and Evan Ferguson only 40%. So Evan Ferguson you got 2 years on Brobby. Brobby's turned 21 this year, Evan Ferguson 18 this year. You can see 2.5 years probably around that. I think those two, you can see Brian Brobby coming in for 12 million, somewhere around that, maybe 20 million pushing that. Evan Ferguson, you're going to probably, with his new 5-year contract, you're going to have to try and probably exceed that 30 million expectation of him and probably sign him for about 50 million. I think that's probably going to be the key outcome for this. If I had to choose someone, it's going to be Jonathan David. For 60 million today, I think that's probably the best option for Tottenham. Bringing in someone like that who can play that left wing, can play the right wing, can play up front, sit behind the striker, creative, can score. He's not going to cost you the world to bring in either. I think he's a pretty good asset to bring in, Jonathan David, and he suits that Tottenham side very, very well. So yeah, that's pretty much my conclusion as to who I think is going to be the best replacement for Harry Kane. Let me know down in the comments below if I've swayed you, if I've given you a reason to get on this Jonathan David hype train. Let me know down below as well who you think Tottenham should bring in. It's a pretty good big question. Who do you bring in to replace Harry Kane, or do you just put it out into the rest of the squad, bring through maybe another striker, or even just play Son up front? It's up to you. Let me know down below in the comments. But anyway, please let me know if you did enjoy this video. If you did, as ever, leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and I shall catch you in the next video. From me, Alex, have a great day. Ciao.